Have you ever wondered how the Vikings, the fierce warriors and legendary explorers, managed to rest and recover after their exhausting voyages and intense battles? It may surprise you to know that their sleep was arguably the best of any human civilization in history. While we modern humans struggle with insomnia, restless nights, and the constant bombardment of technology, the Vikings had mastered the art of sleep in a way that many sleep experts today would envy. The Vikings didn't just sleep, they experienced a form of rest that aligned with nature's rhythms, providing them with deep, restorative sleep that left them refreshed and ready for their next great adventure. But how did they do it? How did they achieve such quality rest in a time long before the comforts of modern science and technology? The truth is, Viking sleep was deeply connected to their lifestyle, environment, and culture, and these ancient practices may hold the key to improving our own sleep patterns. Their relationship with sleep was profoundly different from the way we view it today. In our fast-paced world, sleep is often seen as a necessary evil or something to be optimized through pills and gadgets. But for the Vikings, sleep was a natural part of life, an essential component of their physical and mental well-being. Viking sleep wasn't just about clocking in hours on a mattress. It was about living in harmony with their environment, their bodies, and their natural circadian rhythms. And as it turns out, there is much we can learn from the ancient Norse approach to rest. From their environment, which provided the perfect conditions for sleep, to their cultural attitudes toward rest, the Vikings had mastered a sleep routine that modern science is just beginning to recognize as ideal. Imagine a world without artificial lights, where the only illumination came from firelight, and your daily schedule was closely tied to the natural rise and fall of the sun. In Viking times, there was no need for sleep trackers or blue light blocking glasses because their daily rhythms were inherently in sync with nature. After a day of hard work, farming, fishing, building ships, or preparing for battle, the Vikings would gather around the hearth. As night fell, they would retire for their first sleep, which would last for about 4 hours. This may seem like a short amount of time, but it was only the beginning of their unique sleep cycle. Instead of staying asleep through the night, as we're taught to do today, Vikings would wake up during the night, around midnight, for a brief period. This midnight wake-up was not a disruption or a sign of sleep problems. It was a normal, built-in part of their sleep routine. During this time, they would tend to the fire, check on their livestock, engage in quiet conversation, or even visit neighbors. This segment of wakefulness was, in fact, a natural part of their circadian rhythm. Modern science is catching up to the fact that this segmented, biphasic sleep pattern may actually be more in line with our biological needs than the 8-hour consolidated sleep we are told is ideal today. You may be wondering, why did the Vikings wake up at night? What purpose did it serve? For one, it helped them maintain harmony with their environment. During the long, dark winters in the far north, darkness could last up to 16 to 20 hours in some regions. Trying to sleep through such an extended period of darkness would have been unnatural and impractical. Instead, by splitting their sleep into 2 phases, first sleep and second sleep, the Vikings were able to break up the long hours of night in a way that made more sense for their bodies. This split sleep routine wasn't a sleep disorder or a sign of unrest. It was a biological adaptation. The evidence suggests that this sleep pattern was widespread among pre-industrial societies, especially in areas like Scandinavia, where long winters and varying daylight hours required people to adjust their sleep habits. Research by historians and sleep experts shows that this pattern, called biphasic or segmented sleep, was not unique to the Vikings, but was common throughout Europe before the advent of artificial lighting and the Industrial Revolution. But even in the absence of modern science, the Vikings' ability to align their sleep with natural cycles provided them with the kind of rest modern humans can only dream of. The Vikings didn't just sleep, they had quality rest. They weren't bound to the artificial schedules imposed by the industrial world, where sleep is confined to a rigid 8-hour block. They slept in sync with their bodies and the world around them. The social and environmental factors that shaped their sleep were in perfect harmony with their natural instincts, leading to deeper, more restorative sleep. Imagine living in a world where your body and mind are constantly attuned to natural rhythms, where every part of your day is shaped by the environment you live in. The Vikings had an inherent connection with nature that allowed them to rest in ways that we now recognize as optimal for health and well-being. From the natural rhythms of their days to their cultural practices surrounding sleep, the Vikings lived in an environment that was designed to promote the best possible rest. And yet, as we look back at their sleep practices, it's easy to see how much we've lost in the modern world. Today, we're bombarded by artificial light, sleep disruptions from technology, and stress that impacts our sleep quality. But what if we could reclaim some of that Viking wisdom? What if we could go back to a more natural, segmented sleep pattern that worked with our bodies instead of against them? As we explore the Viking approach to sleep, it becomes clear that the conditions they created for sleep were far superior to what we experience today. They lived in a world where sleep was not a commodity to be optimized, but a natural, essential part of life that required little effort or intervention. Their relationship with sleep wasn't complicated. It was simply part of their everyday existence. By aligning their lives with nature's rhythms, they found that the best sleep comes not from forcing it, but from letting it happen naturally. This first part of the Viking sleep cycle may sound strange to us today, but as we learn more about the science behind their sleep patterns, we begin to understand why this ancient approach might just be the key to better rest in the modern world. As we continue to explore Viking sleep practices, we'll delve deeper into the factors that made their sleep so restorative and what modern science is beginning to confirm about the benefits of a segmented sleep cycle. Could it be that we've been missing something all along? Maybe the Vikings, despite their harsh and often dangerous world, were the true masters of sleep. The way we approach sleep today is vastly different from how the Vikings did it. While modern society is obsessed with perfecting sleep, tracking every minute, optimizing rest with technology, and trying to fit sleep into rigid 8-hour blocks, the Vikings didn't need to worry about any of that. They had a natural, effective rhythm for sleep that modern science is now beginning to recognize as superior. In the Viking Age, sleep wasn't something to be managed or forced, but rather a natural process that aligned with their environment and their bodies. Unlike today's sleep practices, which are often dictated by artificial lighting and productivity schedules, Viking sleep patterns were deeply connected to the natural cycles of the day and night. The Vikings practiced what is called biphasic sleep, a segmented sleep pattern where the night was broken up into 2 parts. This sleep pattern wasn't a random choice. It was based on necessity and the rhythms of their environment. While we often struggle to sleep in one long block of 8 hours, the Vikings naturally woke up in the middle of the night for a period before returning to sleep. This was not a sign of insomnia, but rather a way of life that was perfectly in sync with their bodies and the world around them. After working hard throughout the day, whether on ships, in fields, or around the longhouse, the Vikings would go to sleep shortly after sunset. Their first sleep typically lasted about 4 hours. But here's the fascinating part. They would wake up after this first sleep, usually in the middle of the night. They didn't toss and turn, struggling to get back to sleep like we might today. Instead, this mid-sleep wakefulness was a natural part of their cycle. It wasn't just about waking up. It was a time to carry out various activities, often in the quiet of the night when everything around them was still. The Vikings might tend to the fire, check on livestock, pray, or simply talk among themselves. These activities weren't disruptive. They were a natural part of the Viking night. This mid-sleep wake period was an essential part of Viking life, and it is increasingly being recognized by modern science as beneficial to sleep quality. Contrary to modern beliefs that sleeping in one solid block is the healthiest, the Vikings were likely getting better rest due to their segmented sleep. Research has found that a brief wake period during the night can actually enhance the quality of sleep by allowing the body to go through 2 full sleep cycles, rather than forcing the body to remain in one long, uninterrupted stretch. For the Vikings, this sleep pattern wasn't forced upon them. It was simply how their bodies worked, in harmony with their environment. The long northern winters meant that night could last anywhere from 16 to 20 hours, especially in regions like Scandinavia. Sleeping for such a long period in complete darkness would have been physically uncomfortable and impractical, which is why the Vikings naturally adapted to a segmented pattern. This kind of sleep was more in tune with their natural biological rhythms than the continuous 8-hour block we're used to today. Their wait period wasn't just about surviving the long, dark nights. It was about thriving during them. Their natural inclination to wake up was part of their biological design, not a flaw. In fact, sleep researchers are now recognizing that segmented sleep may have been far more beneficial to the human body than the continuous 8-hour stretch we try to force ourselves into today. Studies are showing that when we allow ourselves to wake up naturally during the night, we experience better sleep cycles, deeper rest, and improved recovery. This is something the Vikings would have had by default. But how did the Vikings feel during this wake period? Far from being groggy or restless, the Vikings used this time to engage in quiet, restorative activities that helped them transition smoothly back into sleep. They might have performed light tasks like tending to their fire or checking on their livestock, activities that didn't disrupt their body's natural need for rest. Modern sleep experts have found that light, non-stimulating activities during these wakeful periods help the body relax and return to sleep more easily. This natural approach, rooted in the Vikings' lifestyle, was healthier than today's modern obsession with uninterrupted sleep. The middle-of-the-night wake periods didn't just provide practicality during long, dark winters. They also promoted a more balanced and sustainable sleep cycle. Their lifestyle allowed for this kind of restful break in the night. It wasn't about rushing to meet sleep quotas or obsessing over sleep hygiene. It was a relaxed, natural practice that aligned with their biological needs. In a world where we constantly fight against our body's natural rhythms, trying to force sleep at unnatural times, often with the aid of technology and artificial lighting, the Vikings lived in harmony with their body's need for rest. Their sleep wasn't perfect in the modern sense, but it was perfectly suited to their environment and needs. Modern sleep researchers are now discovering the science behind what the Vikings did intuitively. The natural rhythm of waking up during the night, engaging in non-stressful activities, and then returning to a second sleep might just be the key to better rest today. The Vikings were not trying to force their bodies into a sleep pattern that didn't fit their natural rhythms. They didn't need gadgets or pills to help them fall asleep. They were naturally attuned to their environment, and this made their sleep healthier and more restorative. It's clear that the Vikings had a far better understanding of sleep than we do today. The segmented sleep pattern wasn't an anomaly. It was an adaptive and sustainable practice. Their biological rhythms were aligned with their world, and this made their sleep deeply restorative. Modern science is just catching up with this idea, but the Vikings were living it long ago. What we can learn from the Vikings is not just about how to sleep, but how to live in a way that nurtures our body's natural needs. By embracing the idea of segmented sleep, allowing ourselves to wake up for brief periods and then return to rest, we could unlock deeper, more restful sleep that enhances our health and well-being. As we explore the Viking sleep further, we'll dive deeper into the ways their environment, social practices, and cultural rituals promoted restorative rest. Stay with us as we uncover how Viking sleep habits could revolutionize the way we approach rest today. One of the most powerful elements that contributed to the Vikings' exceptional sleep was their deep connection to darkness. In today's modern world, we often overlook the importance of darkness in creating optimal sleep conditions. Artificial lighting, screens, and constant exposure to light, especially before bed, disrupt our natural sleep cycles. But for the Vikings, darkness was not something to fight against. It was something they embraced. Their entire sleep environment, from the design of their homes to their daily rhythms, was perfectly attuned to the natural cycles of light and dark, which helped them achieve deeper, more restorative sleep than most modern people can imagine. The Vikings lived in regions where the days could be incredibly short during the winter, with darkness lasting up to 16 to 20 hours in some parts of Scandinavia. During the summer, the sun barely set, and some regions experienced the famous midnight sun, where it remained light for most of the night. This extreme variation in light throughout the year created unique challenges for the Vikings, especially when it came to sleep. But rather than struggling with these challenges, the Vikings adapted to their environment, and their relationship with darkness played a significant role in their sleep quality. Modern sleep science has discovered that darkness is essential for good sleep. In particular, darkness triggers the production of melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate our sleep-wake cycle. Without sufficient darkness, melatonin production is suppressed, making it harder for us to fall asleep and stay asleep. This is why the Vikings, living without the influence of artificial light, likely experienced a natural surge of melatonin as night descended. The complete absence of artificial light, especially in the winter months when they had no choice but to sleep early, created the ideal conditions for high-quality sleep. Imagine a world without the bright lights of street lamps, TVs, or the constant glow of smartphones. For the Vikings, this wasn't an imagined luxury. It was their reality. Their homes, the longhouses they lived in, were designed to keep out as much light as possible. These homes were built with thick walls and small windows, sometimes covered with materials like animal skins or oiled cloth. The main source of light came from the central hearth, and when night fell, it became incredibly dark inside their homes. This profound darkness was key to the Vikings' high-quality sleep, as it allowed their bodies to naturally produce melatonin and align with their internal circadian rhythms. Today, many of us suffer from sleep debt due to artificial light exposure, and we struggle with sleep disorders caused by our overexposure to blue light emitted from screens. This disrupts our body's natural production of melatonin and delays sleep onset. But the Vikings had no such problem. Their relationship with darkness was crucial for the quality of their sleep. Their bodies, much like ours, were designed to respond to natural light and dark cycles. By living in such profound darkness during the winter months, the Vikings were able to experience more extended periods of high melatonin production, leading to deeper, more restorative sleep. In addition to the physical effects of darkness, there were psychological benefits as well. Without the constant distractions of artificial light and modern technology, Vikings could enjoy a more peaceful environment during their sleeping hours. Their world was quieter, and the stillness of the long, dark nights helped them enter a deeper state of rest. This peaceful environment, free of the noise and distractions of modern life, created an atmosphere conducive to high-quality sleep. Imagine not being woken up by a blaring alarm or a buzzing phone, but instead slowly waking to the natural light of dawn. This was the Viking experience. This natural cycle of light and dark, where the night was reserved for rest and the day for work and activity, allowed their bodies to function in alignment with their natural circadian rhythms. But it wasn't just about being in the dark. It was about being in the right kind of darkness. Modern research has found that it's not just the absence of light that promotes good sleep, but also the quality of darkness. When we sleep, we don't just need to block out light. We need the environment to be completely dark. The Vikings' homes, with their small, covered windows and low lighting levels, provided exactly that. Today, even when we sleep in a dark room, we often still have light sources around us, street lights, glow from digital devices, or light from outside sources. These can all disrupt melatonin production and prevent us from getting deep, restorative sleep. The Viking sleep environment was far superior to what most people experience today, even in their own bedrooms. While modern sleep researchers continue to explore ways to improve sleep quality in the age of technology, the Vikings were living with natural solutions that worked in harmony with their biology. And perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Viking sleep was how it was naturally synchronized with the environment. It wasn't an accident that their sleep was of such high quality. It was an adaptation to their extreme environment. In the winter months, when the darkness was long, their sleep schedules naturally aligned with the rhythm of the seasons. In the summer months, when daylight lingered far longer, their sleep periods shortened. This seasonal flexibility allowed them to rest in ways that matched their physical needs and environmental conditions. Today, many of us try to force a rigid sleep schedule, often struggling with artificial light and modern stressors. The Vikings, however, understood that sleep should be adaptable to the changing environment, allowing them to adjust their patterns in a way that benefited their health. But it's not just about living in the dark. It's about using the dark in the right way. Modern science has discovered that even a small amount of light exposure during the night can negatively impact sleep. This is something the Vikings intuitively understood. In their world, artificial light was scarce and expensive. The light sources they used, like candles and oil lamps, were far dimmer than the bright LEDs and fluorescent lights that flood our homes today. Their use of firelight produced a warm, low-frequency glow that was much less disruptive to their circadian rhythms compared to modern lighting. This allowed them to live in a natural, sleep-friendly environment, which was far better for their health than the bright lights and screen time many of us experience today. The warm light of a fire, rather than the harsh blue light we often use in our homes today, helped preserve their natural sleep cycles. By minimizing exposure to bright lights, they avoided disrupting their sleep patterns and could experience rest that aligned with the natural rhythms of their environment. The Vikings' understanding of how to live with darkness was not just a matter of convenience. It was a deeply rooted part of their culture and lifestyle. They knew that darkness wasn't something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Their deep connection to natural cycles is something that modern society could benefit from readopting. As we continue to learn about the importance of darkness for sleep, we can look to the Viking way of life as a model for how to create sleep-friendly environments in our own homes. By minimizing artificial light, embracing natural rhythms, and focusing on creating a restful environment, we can improve the quality of our sleep, just as the Vikings did. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how the Vikings' homes and sleeping arrangements contributed to their exceptional sleep, creating environments that were not only dark but also optimized for rest. Stay tuned as we continue to explore how the Viking sleep system can teach us valuable lessons for the modern world. While the Vikings are often remembered for their bravery, exploration, and naval prowess, one aspect of their lifestyle that is frequently overlooked is the extraordinary sleep environment they cultivated. In the modern world, we invest in mattresses, pillows, and various gadgets to optimize sleep. However, the Vikings understood that sleep wasn't just about a soft mattress or the right amount of sleep hours. It was about creating an environment that naturally fostered rest. The Viking sleeping arrangements, designed with their unique environment in mind, promoted the kind of sleep that modern science now recognizes as optimal for health. The Viking longhouse, where families gathered to live and sleep, was a central feature of their homes. These homes were designed to be practical in a harsh northern climate. One of the most notable features of Viking homes was their sleep platforms, raised wooden structures that ran along the walls of the longhouse. These platforms weren't separate beds as we think of them today. Instead, they were continuous spaces where several family members would sleep together. These communal sleeping arrangements were not just a matter of convenience. They were an adaptation to their environment. The longhouse provided warmth, social cohesion, and safety, three factors that directly impacted the quality of Viking sleep. The shared sleeping space helped conserve body heat in the cold, long winters. In a time before central heating and electric blankets, the warmth of several bodies sleeping together in close proximity was essential for survival. But there was more to the Viking sleeping arrangement than just practical considerations. Archaeological evidence shows that these platforms were constructed with an understanding of ergonomics and comfort. The raised platforms, typically built about 40 to 60 centimeters high, provided a level surface to sleep on, which prevented direct contact with the cold, damp ground below. The Vikings used natural materials like straw, wool, and furs to line the platforms, which provided insulation and comfort. Modern sleep studies have shown that sleeping on natural materials can help maintain a stable body temperature, which is crucial for quality sleep. The Vikings' use of natural materials in their bedding, such as straw mattresses, wool blankets, and animal furs, created a sleep surface that regulated body temperature in ways modern mattresses often fail to do. The combination of these materials allowed for airflow, reducing the risk of overheating during sleep, while also providing insulation against the cold. Modern sleep experts recognize that temperature regulation plays a critical role in sleep quality. If we get too hot or too cold during sleep, it disrupts our ability to reach the deeper, restorative stages of sleep. The Viking sleeping arrangements, naturally designed to regulate temperature, allowed them to sleep better, even in the harshest of climates. But comfort and warmth weren't the only benefits of Viking sleep arrangements. Their communal living and sleeping spaces also had a profound impact on their mental well-being. In modern society, we prize privacy, and many people sleep alone or in separate bedrooms, which creates a sense of isolation. But the Vikings, who slept together in close proximity, benefited from a sense of security and social connection that likely contributed to the quality of their rest. Archaeological evidence from Viking settlements suggests that sleeping in the presence of trusted companions or family members had psychological benefits that helped improve sleep quality. Studies of traditional cultures that practice co-sleeping have found that sleeping in close proximity to others can reduce feelings of anxiety and promote a sense of safety, which in turn enhances the quality of sleep. The Vikings, who lived in a world where physical threats were ever present, likely found comfort in knowing they were surrounded by loved ones during the night. This communal environment allowed for a natural sense of protection and reassurance, which promoted deeper, more restful sleep. But the Viking sleep environment was not just about physical warmth and emotional comfort. It was also about creating a sleep-friendly atmosphere that was free from modern distractions. The longhouse, with its central hearth, offered a peaceful and calming environment, ideal for sleep. In contrast to our modern lives, where we are often surrounded by noise and technology, the Vikings enjoyed a more tranquil environment. Their homes, designed to retain heat, were dimly lit by the glow of the hearth. The absence of bright artificial lighting, coupled with the natural sounds of crackling fire and quiet conversation, likely created a soothing atmosphere that was conducive to rest. This focus on creating a peaceful, low-stimulus environment is something that modern sleep researchers recommend. The use of artificial light, especially in the hours before bed, has been shown to interfere with the production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating sleep. The Vikings, living without artificial lighting, naturally avoided this problem. They didn't have to worry about the harmful effects of blue light from screens or the disruptive nature of bright overhead lights. The dim lighting in their homes, combined with the quiet and calm of the longhouse, allowed their bodies to enter a state of relaxation that made it easier for them to fall asleep and stay asleep. Even the scent of the Viking sleeping environment played a role in promoting restful sleep. Archaeological findings show that Vikings used herbs in their homes, many of which had soothing and sleep-inducing properties. Plants like chamomile, lavender, and hops, which have been shown to have mild sedative effects, were likely used in the Viking homes. The Vikings, who had an intimate knowledge of medicinal plants, would have incorporated these herbs into their bedding or around their living spaces to help promote a restful night's sleep. Modern research has confirmed that the scent of certain herbs can have a calming effect, reducing anxiety and improving sleep quality. While we might use essential oils or sleep sprays today, the Vikings were using these natural sleep aids long before modern science had confirmed their benefits. The physical space where the Vikings slept, combined with their use of natural materials, herbal remedies, and communal living, created an environment that naturally fostered deep, restorative sleep. In today's world, many of us struggle to recreate such an environment, but the Vikings had mastered it without the need for modern technology or sleep aids. Their holistic approach to sleep, focusing on comfort, security, peace, and natural materials, allowed them to experience a level of rest that we often take for granted. As we continue to study Viking sleep, we can learn valuable lessons about how to create a sleep environment that truly supports our well-being. In the next part, we'll explore how their diet, physical activity, and mental attitudes towards sleep helped further improve the quality of their rest, creating a comprehensive sleep system that modern society can learn from. Stay tuned to discover the final pieces of the puzzle behind the Vikings' secret to perfect sleep. As we've journeyed through the remarkable sleep practices of the Vikings, it's clear that they were ahead of their time when it came to achieving restorative rest. From their segmented sleep cycles and deep connection to darkness, to their thoughtfully designed sleeping environments and communal living, The Vikings lived in a way that naturally promoted high-quality sleep. So, what can we learn from their ancient wisdom, and how can we apply these practices to our modern lives? In this final part, we'll explore how you can take the best elements of Viking sleep and integrate them into your own sleep routine. Embrace darkness for better sleep. One of the key lessons from the Vikings is their profound connection with darkness. In the modern world, we are constantly exposed to artificial light, especially from screens. This exposure to blue light late in the evening disrupts our melatonin production, making it harder for us to fall asleep and get the deep rest we need. The Vikings, on the other hand, lived in natural darkness, which helped them maintain their circadian rhythms and produce melatonin naturally. So, how can you apply this to your own sleep routine? The first step is to create a truly dark sleep environment. Start by eliminating as much light as possible from your bedroom. This might mean using blackout curtains, covering up any light sources from electronics, and avoiding screens at least 1 hour before bedtime. You can also consider using a sleep mask to block out any light that might interfere with your sleep. By embracing darkness before bedtime, you will encourage your body to produce melatonin naturally, allowing you to fall asleep faster and enjoy deeper, more restorative sleep. Consider segmented sleep. For natural rest, the Vikings didn't adhere to the modern ideal of a single, uninterrupted 8-hour sleep block. Instead, they practiced a biphasic sleep pattern, meaning they slept in 2 phases. A first sleep followed by a period of wakefulness in the middle of the night, and then a second sleep. Modern sleep science is catching up with the idea that segmented sleep may be more natural for the human body than this single sleep cycle. If you struggle with sleep or find yourself waking up in the middle of the night, don't panic. The Vikings' natural wake periods in the night were not a sign of sleep deprivation, but a normal, restorative part of their sleep routine. You don't have to sleep for a solid 8 hours to be well rested. If you wake up in the middle of the night, use the time to relax or engage in low-energy activities like reading or meditation. Avoid looking at your phone or turning on bright lights, as these will disturb your sleep. Instead, embrace the idea of waking up briefly and returning to sleep, just as the Vikings did. This flexibility in sleep timing can reduce sleep anxiety and improve the quality of your rest. Create a comfortable and restorative sleep environment. The Vikings were masters at creating sleep environments that naturally supported rest. They used natural materials like straw, wool, and furs to create bedding that regulated body temperature and provided comfort. In modern times, we often rely on synthetic materials for our bedding, which can sometimes trap heat or fail to regulate temperature effectively. To recreate a Viking-inspired sleep environment, consider switching to natural bedding materials. Wool, cotton, and linen are great options as they help regulate body temperature while also providing comfort and support. Additionally, ergonomic support is key for a good night's sleep. While the Vikings slept on raised wooden platforms, modern mattresses can offer similar benefits if they provide proper support for the body's natural alignment. Look for mattresses or sleeping surfaces that offer medium firmness and are made from natural materials that allow air circulation. This will help prevent overheating during the night and provide the comfort needed for deep sleep. Incorporate herbs and natural sleep aids. The Vikings had an intimate knowledge of medicinal plants, including herbs known for their sleep-promoting properties. Plants like chamomile, lavender, and valerian have long been used to promote relaxation and improve sleep quality. Modern research has confirmed the effectiveness of these herbs in promoting better sleep. To recreate the Viking tradition, try incorporating herbal teas or essential oils into your bedtime routine. A warm cup of chamomile or lavender tea before bed can help you relax and prepare your body for sleep. Alternatively, using a diffuser with lavender or valerian essential oil can create a calming atmosphere in your bedroom. These natural sleep aids can complement the other sleep practices we've discussed and help enhance the overall quality of your rest. Foster a sense of community and safety. One of the most striking aspects of Viking sleep practices was their communal nature. Vikings didn't sleep alone in private bedrooms. They slept in close quarters with family members and fellow villagers. This sense of safety and connection likely helped reduce stress and promote deeper sleep. In modern society, we often isolate ourselves during the night, which can lead to feelings of loneliness or anxiety that interfere with sleep. If you live alone, consider creating a more social sleep environment by incorporating a sense of warmth and security. This could mean sleeping in a room with loved ones or simply making your bedroom a more inviting and calming space. You can also enhance your psychological comfort by practicing relaxation techniques before bed, such as deep breathing or meditation. These practices can help reduce anxiety and foster a sense of security, allowing you to sleep more deeply. Adjust your diet and physical activity. The Vikings' diet played a crucial role in their sleep quality. Their meals, typically consumed several hours before bedtime, provided sustained energy without disrupting sleep. The Viking diet, rich in protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and complex carbohydrates, was not only healthy but also helped promote better sleep. To improve your own sleep quality, consider adjusting your meal timing and focusing on nutrient-dense foods. Try to finish eating your last large meal at least 2 to 3 hours before bed, and focus on eating foods that are rich in tryptophan, magnesium, and omega-3s. Foods like turkey, fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, leafy greens, and whole grains can help promote the production of serotonin and melatonin, which are essential for good sleep. Additionally, regular physical activity can help improve sleep quality. The Vikings, who engaged in constant physical exertion, enjoyed better sleep because their bodies were naturally tired and ready for rest. Try to incorporate some form of exercise into your daily routine, but avoid vigorous exercise right before bed as it can interfere with sleep onset. Let go of sleep anxiety finally. The Vikings didn't stress about sleep. In fact, they treated sleep as a natural, essential part of life, not something to be obsessively controlled. Modern sleep science has shown that anxiety about sleep is one of the leading causes of insomnia. If you find yourself constantly checking the clock or worrying about getting enough sleep, take a page from the Viking playbook. Let go of the pressure to perfect your rest. Instead, focus on creating a peaceful, supportive environment for sleep and allow yourself to rest naturally. A healthy attitude towards sleep, free from stress and pressure, is key to getting the best rest possible. The Vikings didn't worry about sleep optimization. They lived in harmony with their natural rhythms and embraced rest as part of a balanced lifestyle. Today, we could benefit from this mindset shift by applying some of the principles that worked for the Vikings, embracing natural light cycles, creating restful environments, reducing sleep anxiety, and fostering community. We can rediscover the secret to perfect sleep. While we may not live in Viking longhouses, we can still adopt their sleep wisdom to improve our own rest. In the end, the Vikings didn't just conquer the seas. They mastered the art of sleep. By reconnecting with nature's rhythms, prioritizing rest, and creating environments that foster deep, restorative sleep, we too can experience the same quality of rest that powered the Vikings' legendary feats. Sleep like a Viking, not by following a rigid schedule, but by embracing natural, restorative sleep patterns that align with the body's true needs.